There's a debate tonight. A debate tonight between Barack Obama and John McCain. And what's been most notable to me for the first two presidential debates and my debate with Governor Palin is neither of them had the words middle class part their lips. If you think about it, think about where the focus is. Think about where the focus is. The silence was deafening in the first two McCain appearances. He never mentioned the people who are the ones most under siege by all the things I mentioned at the beginning here. He never mentioned who they are. And I don't think it's because I don't think it's because he doesn't care. I've known John for 3 decades. John is a genuine hero. He really is a genuine war hero. But ladies and gentlemen, we need more than a great soldier. We need a wise leader. We need a wise leader now. And with John, I just think he doesn't get it. I think the reason he doesn't talk about it, the reason he doesn't talk about these specific concerns is I don't think it's not that he doesn't care. I don't think he understands. I don't think he gets it. Look at John McCain's response. The response John McCain had when the current economic crisis became undeniable. On September the 15th, at 9 o'clock in the morning, John McCain said, and I quote, "The fundamentals of the economy are strong." And then, literally, the same day, this past September 15th, he said at 11 a.m., he said, "We're in economic crisis." Now, folks, that's what we Catholics call an epiphany. What happened in 2 hours? What happened in 2 hours to make John realize how bad things were? I'm being literal. I'm being literal. This man is going to be president of the United States. That's what he aspires to be. How can it be in 2 hours you can go from an assertion and belief that he had repeated 20 times before over the past summer, that the economy is strong? He also went on to say, we've made great economic progress under the Bush administration. And in 2 hours, realize that we're in a great economic crisis. Ladies and gentlemen, did John all of a sudden in 2 hours realize that here in Ohio, the median income of Ohio families had dropped $2,000 over the previous 8 years? Did John all of a sudden figure out that here in Ohio you lost 240,000 manufacturing jobs in the previous 8 years? Did John realize all of a sudden that the folks here in Ohio and all across America are paying twice for their health care premiums what they paid 8 years earlier? John didn't realize that this economic crisis was what it is. This economic crisis is the final verdict on the failed policies of 8 years of George Bush's administration. And that's what it is. The governor said it better than I do. That's what it is. It's simple. It's straightforward. Look at your Republican or independent friends who may be thinking about voting for John and ask them, what did this all of a sudden fall out of the sky? Did all of a sudden we go from having a great surplus, being the most respected nation in the world in the year 2000, to being the least respected of the major nations in the world and have a gigantic debt? Did it just happen because God no longer likes us? Look, folks, John McCain didn't see the light in his epiphany in those 2 hours. You know what John McCain saw? He saw the presidency receding from his grasp. That's what John McCain saw. And folks, as my mom would say, God love him, he still doesn't get it. He still doesn't get it. In a speech a couple days ago, John McCain said, and I'm going to quote him here, John McCain said, "We cannot spend the next 4 years like we did much of the last 8 years waiting for our luck to change. That's what he said. That's what he meant. Because that's exactly what's been going on. That's exactly what's been going on. These guys continue to think they can have these profligate spending policies they have. They can have this god-awful economic theory that everything will trickle down. And somehow, our luck is going to change. Well, the middle class's luck didn't change. Look, after John recognized that we have to change our luck, what did John say? John went on to propose virtually nothing new at all from what's been going on the last 8 years. His tax policy is basically the same. His economic policy is basically the same. Look, John's last-minute economic plan does nothing to tackle the number one job facing the middle class, and it happens to be, as Barack says, a three-letter word, jobs, J-O-B-S, jobs. And ladies and gentlemen, what do John's plans do for your health care? Well, I tell you what they do. They tax them. For the first time in all of history, all of American history, any of you who get your health care through your employer will now have that health care, which is valued at $12,000 on average, those plans, treated as income. So if you're making $50,000, you'll get taxed on $62,000 of income. John does that because he has to raise $3.2 to $3.6 trillion over the next 10 years. You know what he's going to do that for? He's raising that money so he can give you a $5,000 tax credit. Now, that means that your employers are going to drop you, 20 million of you, from your health care plans. That's what the studies show in this new idea. But John's going to say it's okay. We're going to let the marketplace take care of this. We're going to give you $5,000 to go out and negotiate to buy back your $12,000 plan. Folks, where I come from, they call that the ultimate bridge to nowhere. Absolutely to nowhere. John says he understands we have a retirement problem here in terms of retirement accounts. So what's John's answer? Privatize it. Privatize it. Privatize Social Security. That's a great answer. John says he's going to create jobs. How's he going to do it? He's going to provide for another $4 billion a year tax break for the Exxon Mobils of the world. Another $4. They got $30 billion over the next 10 years. He wants another $4, and they've made $600 billion in profit just since 2001. You think if this wasn't so important, you'd think I was making this up for a sitcom or something. Ladies and gentlemen, they need $4 billion a year more. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to grow this economy. So what's John's answer? Freeze spending on education and innovation. Now that's really smart. Freeze spending. So we freeze spending in education, and we freeze spending on innovation and investing in alternatives. Ladies and gentlemen, the problem isn't that John McCain doesn't understand. There is no difference between what John McCain is proposing at its core and what we've been doing for the last 8 years on the economy. Fundamentally no difference. Look, John McCain and Sarah Palin call themselves mavericks. By the way, a young woman who does all the policy stuff for me, she is literally a member of the family. You know how that name Maverick came up? It's a Texas ranching family called the Mavericks. Well, she is really a Maverick. I mean, she is on the bloodline of the Mavericks. But she was explaining that whole thing to me on the bus ride 2 days ago. But you know, the best guy who explained it to me was our next door neighbor in Sheridan, my good friend, as well as the governor's, a guy named Bob Casey from Northeast Pennsylvania, senator. And Bobby Casey had a great line. I wish I had thought of it. Bobby Casey said, "You can't call yourself a maverick when all you've been for the last 8 years is a sidekick."